Connecting to
Okay.
audio.
So I'm going to welcome everybody to today's ADDN meeting. We've had a number of apologies, so I'm not going to say who all because it's a long list. But lots of people saying that they really want to be here and they really want to hear the recording. So Stella has kindly agreed to that. We thank her very much for being with us today. So I'm just going to introduce her and then she can also tell us a little bit more about herself as well. So ESTELA LAPPONI, I hope I said your name right. Is that right?
Lapponi, yes.
Is a Brazilian performer, video artist, and poetic terrorist. Love that. Based in Sao Paulo. The main areas of her artistic research as an independent artist covers the scenic discourse of the disabled body, performance and relational practices, and the transit between visual and scenic art. So since 2009, she's been performing her investigation into the concept of the Corpo Intruso, or the intrusive body, and its performativity. And we looked at a piece in advance of today's meeting called this is really hard to say.
Seliberation.
Yeah.
Seliberation.
Celebration and liberation, #2. I really struggle with that title, but it's wonderful as well. So we watched both the shorts, teaser, and the full performance. So ESTELA, it was very inspiring, but I'm going to hand over to you to tell us a little bit about your work and then, you know, and the show, and then maybe we will have some conversation with you about it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I would love to start describing myself. I need to read because I really wrote as my English is not really wonderful. So I'm a cisgender white woman with freckles. I have brownish almond eyes and arched eyebrows. I have a short asymmetric haircut and I'm letting the gray hair grow up. So the endings are black. My nose, it's a little pointy and I got 2 rings on it. My lips are neither thick or thin, but when I smile, my mouth gets big and my eyes close. And I'm wearing a very colorful cloth and with a warm cloth, black and white. And I have many tattoos on my arms and hands. And my nails are blue, and I'm a performer, video artist, and poetic terrorist based in São Paulo, Brazil. So I've been an artist since '92, and I started as an actress. And in '97, while I was performing on the street, because I used to play street theater, I had a stroke, and then this changed everything in my life. It was a long process to understand what was happening with me, and also what could I do after the stroke as an artist, because I was believing all the times for almost 2 years, I was believing that I should turn back normal, let's say. I was believing this idea of normality, that only as a normal body, normal between I don't know between aspas, I don't know the name in English. Entre guillemets, I don't know.
I think it's inverted commas.
Yeah, exactly. Between commas. And so this idea of normality, as I was living and teaching, I start to realize that the normality was my disabled body at that moment. So I start again to play as an actress in 2000. And then I started to face the ableism. And also thinking about inclusion, because I start to hear about inclusion, and then I was realizing that my body was not really considered as a disabled body, because I have a half disability. So I play with this word that I'm half disabled. I'm not totally disabled. So I started to think about this system of inclusion. And as it was difficult to start to work to present, for instance, my first creation in dance. It was a solo, and it was really difficult to sell for institutions here in Brazil, for instance, because they always was saying to me, oh, it's too specific. When we have something about this thing, we can talk again. And it was, for me, it was quite difficult to understand what that means, which specifically they are talking about. And then it was talking about my disability. So I had many experience, a lot of experience that I faced the ableism, and also the idea of that we cannot talk about disability. I'm not allowed to talk about my body on the stage. I'm not allowed to talk about disability anyway, because the non-disabled people, they don't know how to deal with this thing. They don't know how to behave facing the disability. I don't know how it's in South Africa, but here in Brazil, it's getting better. Of course, we are talking about 2000, so 24 years after, we hope that something will change. But still, it's a stigma to be on the stage, and still it's the ableism. It's not only this prejudice that we don't want to hear, but also we want to hear only if you're talking in this point of view, in this kind of narrative that has to do with the narrative of pity, painful, or a tragedy. It's our life, and all these kind of things. And I don't agree with this kind of narrative. So my work, it's basically, when I say that I'm a poetic terrorist, it's because I like to go straight to the point. What's the problem? And talking about my body, but not only about myself, but opening for other bodies, and to try to people understand that we are plural, everybody, not only disabled body. They use at the forum Brazil UK, I could say that if you look around, you see that you are all different, and why the disabled body is the other. Who is the other? What that means? The other, or dissident, or dissident bodies, or different bodies, or we use a word here in Portuguese in Brazil that is desviante. I don't know this word in English, but it has to do that doesn't go straight to the normal. I will search here at the depot, deviant. It's clear, deviant. So I used to say that we are not different, or we are not dissident or deviant. We are seen as deviant, as different, as, because it has to do with the ancestrality of disability. Our ancestrality is not beautiful. The narrative of the ancestrality of disabled people are not beautiful. And everybody that has, I believe in this idea, I have this image in my mind that everybody, each one of us that has disability, when I arrive in a place or an environment or a system, we carry all this ancestrality together. So when people see me, they don't see me, they see the narrative. They see my ancestrals, non-genetical ancestrals, because it's a social and culture, has to do with social and culture. How this body, which narrative has this body? And it's not our narrative. It's not a protagonism. It's non-disabled people who are talking about us. Always in the history, it was always like that. Our body was not it was like belong to the church, belong to the king, belong to whatever. We were like a thing that people could play and do whatever they want. And nowadays, fortunately, we are talking in the first person. We are being protagonists of our life and our creation. But still, it's difficult. I don't know how it's in South Africa, but still in Brazil, we need to fight against this idea of disability, that it's a suffering and not an experience. And its disability has nothing to do with, it's not a binary word. It's not disability or efficiency. It's a disability, it's ableism, it's a capacity. So that's why the ableism. Corpo Intruso, it's born when I was living in Italy. And I make my point to say Corpo Intruso as a meta action itself. Like if I translate my concept, I'm playing the role of the colonialism. So I make my point to say Corpo Intruso. So everybody will say Corpo Intruso. You can translate, okay, but I won't translate it. Even that Portuguese is not my language, it's the language of the colonizer, the Portuguese, but still it's a Brazilian word. It's a Brazilian language, let's say. So with Corpo Intruso, I started to first of all, I'm work a lot with this idea of this sphere of life and art. So has to do with my biography, but I'm not talking about myself. But the starting point is myself, but to go to amplify for other bodies, and not only disabled, not only about disability, but all the bodies that are seen as from the lens of the ableism, because ableism belongs to women, Black people, poor people, fat people, LGBT people. So it's the way how society, that it's a patriarchal society, look at these bodies. But of course, ableism, we are in the focus of the disabilities, the focus of the ableism. So I started to develop in the master in Madrid that I studied. It was a wonderful master because it was a really open-minded, and we did a lot of self-tutoring. So we were helping each other, the students. So for me, it was like to dismiss the idea of the genius. The artist is a genius. They stay like closed in a room creating the eureka. So wow. But so this master gave me this possibility that you can show whatever you want in the like I'm starting to research something that I even don't know yet. What is this? So I could open to my friends, to my colleagues, and then we could exchange So the first thing that I did with Corpo Intruso, I asked them, what is Corpo Intruso? So I had a long list of many ideas that goes through every subject. So from that, I could list some aspects that are defined, what that means, what is Corpo Intruso. I will read it. So Corpo Intruso, it's everything that it's not invited, it's out of context, it takes you out of the center, it dismantles everyday life. We may not realize. It can cause attraction and fear. It's weird, it's ugly, it's fragile, and however it can be cheerful, indigestible, and with a certain humor. And it belongs to me. And then I have Zuleika that I don't know if I have the glasses here, but Zuleika, it's this, I don't know if you see these eyes in my wall, in my left side. So this is a glass that called Zuleika. Zuleika Brit Berry from Brazil, eat Italia because Corpo Intruso born in Italy. So Zuleika born in Madrid. And then, so she's a mix of citizenships. And so from these aspects and this list, I started to try things. Okay, what that means, not invited. Okay, so how can I explore this idea of not invited or out of context? For instance, that we may not realize, I see as the advertisement. So I started to, and Zuleika became a verb as well, Zuleika. So I started to, this stick that I have here in my wall, I started to Zuleika many advertisements that was really machist. So the idea of these eyes that look at you and also make you pay attention of something that you even don't realize, but just to make something, to change the ordinary day when you're passing on the street and then suddenly you see something that look at you and make you look at something as well. And so I started to experience many of these aspects. I'm still doing that. And I used to have, I have works directly related to Corpo Intruso. When you can see Zuleika, these other pictures, it's a performance, these two women, one is the other, the stream left, it's me, and the other one, it's a colleague, Neka, that it's a performance that is called Anti-Muse. Also because of this idea that we are always a model, oh, you're so inspiring, or you teach so, I learned so much from you, you're so beautiful, that this idea of this narrative of about disability, that, oh, we are so an angel, or we are angel or devil, so we are not human. So Anti-Muse came from this idea. I was really fed up. I could not work. It was 2013. I could not work, and I was living with my mother at this time because I had no money. And then I decided, okay, I need to create something. I need to bury this muse and to reborn as Anti-Muse. So I made an event in my mother's place. She went travel. I said, so bye, mom. Borrow me your home, your house. And then we made an event like Anti-Muse, many kind of Anti-Muse that also has to do with LGBT people community. and so experience this idea of be totally wrong. This performance, it was about the right for being wrong, to do wrong things and to mistake and to forget. So I'm not a singer, but I was singing. And Neka, my friend, she's at this moment she was learning. She's a guitar player, but not an electric guitar player. So she's starting to play electric guitar. So it was all this idea of making mistakes, be wrong, though it's not completed. So we started to sing a song, and then I forgot the lyrics, so stop again. So this idea of not being perfect. And what it was really interesting about anti-muse, that at the end everybody wanted to be anti-muse. Yes, of course, because we are tired to be perfect. There's no perfection. No, doesn't exist perfection. And also people make this mistake that disability has to do with imperfection. And then I take the imperfection to another level. The right to be whatever you are doesn't matter about, not only about disability, but I think this patriarchal and capitalist system that we live, they force you to seek the perfection and what that means exactly. Even for me nowadays, this the hair transition that I'm doing now to let the gray and the white hair has to do with that. Here in Brazil, it's a new thing. It started in the quarantine, but before, oh, you're old. And what's the problem to look your age? You know, I'm 50. Tomorrow I'm be 51. And what's the problem to look at my age? I should be like 50 with a face of 20. It's impossible. So this is also has to do with how the system works, that you always will try to fit in this idea. And principal, the women are always being forced to be perfect shape and perfect face and perfect skin, all these ideas that make you consume more and more and more and more, and don't be happy with yourself. And so for me, it's really important that we can be happy with ourselves. It's the principal thing. So if I'm happy with myself, if I have a conscience about myself, and then I again with Corpo Intruso, if I'm conscious about what I represent, what people see on me, that has nothing to do with myself, but with this idea of disability, that they even don't look to you, what you are, how you are. So it's, for me, it's the let's say the main thing that in my work. So I did other performances as well, directly related to Corpo Intruso, but also Corpo Intruso for me became also underneath concept. How can I shake the system in my work? For instance, the Seliberation is not that I don't use, it's not Zuleika, but I'm Zuleiking the Vitruviano image, the Vitruviano man. So because it's a idea of perfection that is still going on our how to say it, in consciousness, the collective, in conscious collective. So I also one thing that I belong to, let's say, movement of artists with disability that we don't use, because here in Brazil we say pessoa com deficiência. It's a person with disability, let's say, that really translated into directly. But so we use like a slang, deaf, DEF. So like to normalize this word, disability, that would say this for in English. Oh, I'm a this person. So to naturalize this idea, this word that it's so horrible for non-disabled people. So to naturalize this, and to nowadays we are seeing that it can be a terminology as well, because for me it has to do with your own self. Like if I declare myself as I'm a deaf person, so not deaf, but deaf, this DEF. I'm it it's felt I forgot the word. It's to be strong as myself, you know, to be proud of myself, and to naturalize and normalize this word, that it's not a big deal. It's just a word, and there's not another meaning than disability. Point. It's simple like that. So I wrote this movement that we are creating this idea of terminology, the deaf terminology, and has to do with creep theory. So this to creep everything, let's creep everybody. And I use the word capenga. Capenga, there's no translation to English, but capenga is the etymology is not really clear, but what I found, it's the etymology, it's from the Guarani, Tupi-Guarani, from the indigenous from Brazil, that peng means twisted bone. The etymology, twisted bone. So this idea that, and in Portuguese, if we find in a dictionary that the meaning of capenga means a person who, like, I walk like this, mancando. People help me. Wait. Mancar.
You mean limp?
Limping.
Someone who
Yes.
walks limping. Yeah.
Limping, exactly. So capenga means limp, but not exactly, because if it's a twisted bone, we don't say which bone is twisted. I'm not saying that it's from the leg. It's interpretation from the normality. Ah, okay. Capenga is a bed, so it's limping. So I like to say that I capengo, because it's my way of being in the world. It's the way how I move myself. And also that has to do with this. So we start to use these words that is not really beautiful for the normality, to change the cognition, the social cognition, to creep everything where we, if I'm there, if I'm like in Brazil Forum UK, I was creeping everybody, everything, every time. And so, and we don't use, as an artist, we don't like to use the word inclusion. I wrote a manifest anti-inclusion, principally because we are talking about art. So why we make this difference between art and disabled art? We are creating other aesthetic. We are producing knowledge in art, and it's contemporary, more contemporary than ever, I think, than anybody. because we are dealing all the time with many things, and we are creating another aesthetic and another way of thinking about aesthetic. If artists are seeking for the Vitruviano man idea of aesthetic, the perfection, we are risking this idea. We are transforming this idea, and we are creating and putting new ideas in the world. And I believe that I used to say that the disabled body is like a Babel from the capitalism, because we can celebrate anybody. It's the base. If we can be however we are, we can celebrate everybody. And it's to liberate and celebrate these bodies, celebrate everybody. So yeah, it's more or less like this. And now I'm researching. I got a prize from Itaú Cultural. It's a very important one. Besides, it was the last money from all editions that they had, but I can produce part of my solo capenga that I'm working this idea in dance, this idea of capenga. And so I don't know, I said a lot, so maybe you can make some questions or comments, whatever. Feel free, please.
Thank you, Estela. That was very, very rich. And yeah, I loved it. Thank you very, very much. Lots of ideas. I've made millions of notes and comments and questions, but I can't hog this. So let me ask who wants to ask or say something before I do. So Gladys and Danielle and Ondiego, welcome for being here. I don't know if any of you would like to ask Estela something or say something. Maybe while you think about it. Liane, I don't know if there's anything. Ah, Gladys, there you are on screen. Do you want to ask or say anything?
I just wanted to say to Estela, thank you very much, and the way that your braveness in the way that you're taking up this work, and sort of manipulating certain stigma and also to break down barriers. It's really commendable. Thank you so much. I appreciate your work.
Thank you so much.
So Gladys was one of the pioneers of work in this area in South Africa, and she was doing it when no one knew anything and was just kind of experimenting and being incredibly brave on every front. You know, I found, you know, early on this year, I was having a student who's totally blind, and I said, how do I do performance with a student? And Gladys gave us some really, really good tips around this work. So she's, you know, also been a terrorist in her own way around this work.
I understand.
When I was watching your the film of your work, there were so many points in the work that really struck me. You know, obviously you taking on the canon of so-called ideal proportions and the ideal man as a woman, as a disabled woman in terms of color, all those things. But one of the things that you spoke about was I'm going to say this wrong, but anyway, anthropophagy of the canon. And that's a very particular Brazilian concept, isn't it? That idea of cultural consumption, that you take it and you make it into something else. But it was interesting to see how you did that in and through the body. So in a way, what I saw was you took discourse, you know, the idea of debates and theory and concepts, and you interrogated them through the body and in your body. And I loved how your own body became a plural body, so that you know, we're not one thing. None of us are one thing. And I loved how that the multiplicity of your own body. But I think because I didn't get to see other works of yours, and I definitely would love to see other works. Do you also work with other bodies?
No,
As
normally
in, you know, having other bodies alongside?
No, I work alone, and it's quite. Before I was really into groups, but then I realized that I had many things to say because I could not have a voice. So no, I want to work alone. If I find, for instance, I find NECA, that she belongs to the Danceability Brazilian network. I don't international network. I don't know if you heard about Danceability. No? Have you heard, Gladys? I can't
Sorry,
hear
Gladys,
you.
you're on mute.
Yes, I've heard about danceability.
Ah, cool. Yeah, I did the certification as well. Disabilities belongs to Alito Alessi from United States. And it's a methodology that, let's say, not include, because I don't like this word, but to consider all bodies in the room. So it based like there are some principles that Alito works that, for instance, I have a class where one person cannot, it's blind. So I need to change all my exercise to make this person develop her dance by herself. Of course, the room will be engaged, that everybody's together, but the person is independent as well. It's not something that it's put in, you do this or whatever you want, you know. It's not a, it's a body who is belongs to oneself, you know. And so Alito developed many exercises like players, games in dance, where you can develop the idea of improvisation. And 4 elements for improvisation. So first, it's sensation, has nothing to do with feelings, but sensation, body sensation while you're moving. So which sensation do you have? Then relationship with others, and then time, sense of time, and also design. 4 elements that are really simple, but make you understand very well what means to improvise in dance. And also, whatever is the body. If you use only your eyes, no, there's no deal, you know, is that there's no problem. It's not just the eyes. No, you can really research a lot with one element, whatever, or if you're this finger. So this idea of that you can develop your own dance, whatever your body is or how you are. So for instance, Neka, she introduced me she didn't introduce me the Seliberation, but she introduced me Alito. I worked with Alito. And so she's a partner, but for Antimusa. It's everything because I'm saying if I work with other people. So no, it's really, for me, it's really, okay, let's see if I can work with this person, because I don't want to waste my time explaining things that for me it's already basic. It's not, of course, if I'm a teacher, it's different. But if I'm as an artist, I don't want to waste my time anymore, because I know what I want to do and I want to try. If you want to come with me, let's go. But let's discuss to improve, not to be stuck in the same, don't agree, let's talk about inclusion. No, I don't want to talk about inclusion, because I belong to society. I am society. as well. But I have the right to be as I am, and to my body makes the difference in this space. It's another way of thinking, you know, because it's a turning point. If I'm included, it's really a passive movement. I will tell you how, well, I started, as I was trying to work and to live from my art, and I could not, and I was, okay, what this means, inclusion, it's why, because in the disabled world, I'm not really disabled, and in the non-disabled, I'm really disabled, so what that means, who I am. And so I found in a dictionary as well. I love dictionaries, as you can see. I love to work with etymology and the meaning of the word. And so I found at the dictionary a meaning of inclusion, one meaning from biology that it has to do with isolation of a substance. And then I say, so that's what is happening. Well, okay, people, okay, you can come. We are really inclusive, but you stay in the corner. Because your body or your word will not interfere in our word. We don't want to change because we are okay with that. You need to adapt yourself with this reality, and not our reality is interfering in this reality, and then we make another reality for everybody. And also, I was when I was living in Madrid, I was speaking with a programmer in the La Casa Encendida. It's a culture center culture, and I was like asking her why because they used to have a festival. I don't know if they still have like this art and disability, and I said, why this name of this festival? It's horrible. It's like art and disability, it's a part. Why? Why you need to split the idea? And also, and she said, yes, I was trying to change this name, but as the La Casa Encendida is a center, a cultural center that is get money directly from Caja Madrid. It's a bank. So the social thing, because I said, this is capitalism. She said, the social thing, I cannot use because I need to put really the word disability so I can, let's say, talk about social thing. And also, and then I said, yeah, because inclusion is really bad word, isn't it? And she said, no, but inclusion include. And then she made this movement. And when then she made this movement, I said, whoa, exactly, I got it. It's passive, and you disabled come to my word of non-disabled person. It's authority, many meanings with this movement for me. So after this, I wrote the manifest, and it was really for me. And also I was afraid, like, who am I to say bad things about inclusion? I don't know, but I feel like this. But I was writing, but also, should I do this? Maybe people will not understand what I'm talking about. And I say that it's the manifest has to do with art, but nowadays I see that it's not only art, it has to do with life, with education. We still in Brazil, we are fighting to have the right to be in the school, in the, let's say, regular, that I don't like this word, but regular school. So we are always apart. I didn't have this problem in my childhood because I became a person with disability, but I see many friends, or they had a lot of problems while they were studying, and bullying, all these everything that comes with disability. So it's I try to see the world and to see myself in the world and how my body is, because my body, even that I'm a body, I don't separate the mind and the body, but my body arrived first in some case, some events. It's the first thing that it arrived, it's my body. Like for Black people, the black skin arrive in the first level for the other. So it's how people see look at us, and what they just decide who we are.
Yeah, I mean, I think many of the things you've raised are really important. The discussions we're having around inclusion suggests that somebody allows you in, there's power, all those issues. So I'm totally with you on, you know, I totally agree with that. And I really challenge the notion of inclusive space and prefer the idea of open space. And how do we make spaces open for various people to inhabit it in whatever way they want to inhabit it. But also, I must say, Estela, I take great courage from your courage. It's really hard to be that definite about a position. You know, Nadine, who wanted to be here today, has a performance piece that she does. She is a wheelchair user, and about how she must be grateful for access and say thank you. And I mean, my childhood growing up was to say thank you when I was allowed to go to an ordinary school, or I was allowed to do what other people, and you must say thank you. And I'm thinking, why must I say thank you for a basic thing? But I think that a lot of disabled people have fear of not being allowed to stay. So there is the fear of exclusion. Exclusion is a great threat. So you might not be allowed to be in the space or to be accepted. So exclusion is a hugely dangerous thing. So to be bold and to be absolute in your position is a very difficult thing to do. But I love your celebration of the incomplete and the imperfect, and celebrating that is such an extraordinary aesthetic. You know, it's a very liberating and transformative approach, actually, because even so-called normate people like my students are terrified of failure. They're terrified of failure. And we just need to fail better, all of us. So we need to handle failure and just do it better and say, okay, I'm learning. And the learning, you know, we were talking about our various networks yesterday, and we were saying, we've all got to tell good stories. Why can't we talk about our failures? Because that's where the learning happens, you know. So I love that your work is engaging openly and directly with that work. And it feels like the work is not confrontational, but it is direct. You know, you are being very direct and saying, look, see, engage. So I love that about the work and the way you speak about your work. So anybody else who wants to say anything? I feel like I've just said a lot. Gladys.
Yes, you know, this word inclusive and integrated is also, it's like starting to choke me at the moment, because I mean, where are we going with this word? Because we keep trying to transform things and want to make things right. And at the moment, we cannot make things right. It's just, so at the moment, because I'm studying and I keep thinking, even as myself as a colored girl and coming from El Dorado Park, and I know I come from this community, and I realize it's all about community. It's all about this wholeness that we need to start looking at and stop putting name tags on us, because I think we've all come, whether you black, white, whoever you are, we all come with this patches, these things that we've been told that we are, but we are not really that. And when we start accepting who we are, but not to please others, but just to be honest about who you are. And I think you make me really think again about the work, this word inclusive, because I'm really starting to, because I'm not a person living with disability, and I'm not blind, I'm not deaf, and I would always get this there's doors being slammed in my face. What are you doing here? What do you want in disability? But people don't understand, but that is what is in me. It is my passion that I would, for me, about having people in one room, doesn't matter who you are, that is, and that wants to dance and that wants to be proactive. That is just, and they desire to be part of society. So for me, I mean, I just thank you again to make me aware of this word inclusive, that it has no value now, because we are moving forward in life, and we are moving forward in our work, because there's so much stuff that comes with this inclusion, because inclusion can become exclusion, and people can be excluded in such a way that it's really hurtful, because then we just go backwards. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, because it is you really make me think a little bit more about how to look at my work, look at my practice, and the fact that there's no, I mean, for me at the moment, there's no thing now. I'm not even putting inclusion anymore in my things that I'm writing. I talk about artist with ability, because we are able to do anything. So that is just my kind of thing. I actually wanted to ask you, how does your audiences interact with your work, and how do they, what is their response towards your work in Brazil? Actually, I would like to know that.
Yeah, there are many kind of reactions. There are people, I had already people who were really pissed off with me. Like I used to have, I created, when I created my first solo, that it was uncomfortable be myself, so many people. I created another one. It's a performance, really didactic performance, that chair is speaking without taboo. So it was a performance where that I played for a visual artist, and I took this image. Of course, I asked her if I could do this, and she said, "Okay, it's yours." So I took this image of this body with a severe disability, and it was like the costume was really pink, and the wheelchair with animal print, gold. So, a lot of personality, but also childhood, because it was childish, because it was like a frou-frou, because it's the way how people look at the people with disability as a children, really childish, blah, blah, blah. So, and then this performance, it's only, I don't do anything. I'm just there being this image of severe disability. I had a assistant by my side, that could help me to drink water, to take off my things, because I was really dependent. So this idea of being dependent, but I'm choosing all the time if I want to, where I want to be, the space, where, if I want to take off my blouse or not, if I want to drink water, even if I'm just blinking. That's what it was, the way how I was communicating. And then this performance, I created a video for it's a multimedia performance. So it was a video where I'm talking about my stroke, but not saying my name. Sorry. I was mixing my biography, and also I was taking, we took bus here in São Paulo. There in that time was not accessible. We went to a coffee shop or whatever. We were on the street living and we're recording, filming this. So I sent for on NG for disabled people in art because I want to sell to help me to sell in schools, to make discussions about this. Because what I realized since the beginning that we need to talk about, we need to create space to talk about, to take off this stigmatize of this, I don't know how this is stigmatize the disabled body. And then I found this on NG. There was a culture for disabled and making bridge with schools, and I said, wow, perfect. So I went there, I spoke with them, and then I sent them the video. The woman was really like pissed with me. How you dare to explore this image and to put the disability like that? And I ask myself, well, she works with disability, and so that means that I'm in the right way, because if she, who is working at ONG about disability, felt attacked or offended about my work, we need to talk about this, really. So it's a mix of this, how you dare, of whoa, you're wonderful. And then, okay, but I'm interested, what do you get? Oh, you are an actress. I'm not interested in this kind of feedback, but in what do you get about what I'm talking about? You know, and also that people make, I'm really confused after this to see this. Like I have a performance that because I work with, as you said, I go straight and I work with affirmations. I'm not accepting what they are talking about me. So I will put my truth. So I have a performance that it's called The Asymmetry is More Yummy. So I'm mixing this idea of sexuality as well, and also like playing with this word, yumi. But I say it in Spanish, la asimetría es más rica. So it's a performance where I cut with many types of knives, big, small, electric, fruits or vegetables. And then I affirm, I cut and I say, la simetría es más rica, la simetría es más rica, la simetría es más rica, in many ways of speaking, of talking, of saying. And I created for my my short film, the first one, the Desecration. And I started to perform live. And then I realized that I was trying to, kind of creating a anthropophagic ritual, because I was offering the fruit for the person, and I was like this, you know, this the knife. I was like giving the fruit in the point of the knife. So it was also a risk to the other to take the fruit, and the person should repeat la simetría es más rica, as you must digest this idea, you must swallow this idea, you must eat this idea in order to digest and also to change your cognition. And then many people said, whoa, I'm really confused. I'm really confused. I don't know if I understood. Yeah, maybe don't, because I'm talking about new cognitions. I like to think about this idea of the brain, as I'm, for instance, my new short film, it's called La Emi, because of my my disability, hemiparesis. So La Hemiparética. I'm my father is Argentine, that's why Spanish is close by for me. So in La Emi, it's a short film about my, let's say, about the able-bodiedness, compulsory able-bodiedness, because I show how I do things, ordinary things, with one hand. So if I need to cut, but my bread, the bread, let's say I need to put my breast, the bread between the breast, and then to cut like this. So I involve my body is always together with the things, the objects. And then when, for instance, to open a bottle, I need to put between my legs to open. To open a can, I put between my feet. So when people that doesn't have a disability see myself doing this, oh, I help you. And I say, no, it's okay, I can do it. Oh, but I can help you. Oh, like, oh, you don't need to, let's say, to expose yourself like this. To tie my tennis shoes, I use my mouth. So everything that goes out from this able-bodiedness, people get, oh, no, I help you. What's the problem to open the bottle with between my legs? What's the problem to use my mouth to tie my lace? So, you know, I create this tension between normality and the camera. I tried this moment and this with this film. I tried. It was not really. It didn't happen exactly what I was imagining, but we did what was possible. And then the camera also is like a character, but the non-disabled character. So start to turn upside down, you know, like, oh my God, I cannot deal with this. You're doing this, oh. And I start to change the camera. I start to make the camera be capenga and creeping the camera. So it's a mix of things. People that hate, people that love, people that doesn't understand. So with people that hate, I love, actually, because it's something that, okay, something is opening.
Yeah, it's a reaction.
Oh,
Often when people react
yeah.
negatively, it's a real reaction. Sorry, Gladys.
No, I just say that it's so amazing because it's like when I work with our dancers, my able-bodied or my dancers living with disability, and when I don't help them and I walk away, then people will say, "What's wrong with you? Why don't you help them?" I said, "Why should I help them? They can do that because I can do my own things and they do their own things." So it's not about that. So for me, the role was the other way around. When I didn't help the dancers get into the wheelchair or using their crutches or going through the door, I said they can do it. They can open the door. They can pick up the things. So it's the same as myself because I would disempower them. I would take away their freedom
Infantilize
if
as
I had to
well,
do
right?
that, and I paralyze them in the way they live. And my these are my friends. So the only maybe thing that we will do is maybe open a door if it was too heavy, but the rest of it they had to do. We had to do things each one had their own responsibilities. So I do understand that, and thank you so much for sharing that.
And also, I believe if we need help, we ask for.
Yeah.
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 So that's
I really
fantastic.
loved your comment. Thank you, Estella, as well. But I just wanted to say one thing because you've said so much, but I really love the comment that disability not as suffering, but as an experience. And that really resonated very deeply with me, this idea, you know, but also as an artistic experience, you know, which is what you're doing in a way that you are, you know, moving beyond in a way, kind of post-human kind of, I'm thinking about Bardotti, you know, and that idea of that nomadic self that is beyond binaries, and what a profound way to find it. So I feel deeply inspired. So thank you.
Nice, thank you.
So thank you so much. That's been over an hour of really engaging with your work, which has been such a pleasure. So
I think Daniela wants to say something.
oh, sorry, Dan.
Don't worry, I'm
Go
sorry. I would like to thank you for your work. It's so inspiring. And actually, recently I'm working on my own personal creative process, and it's about irate alien bodies. So I found so many points in common with you, with your work, and sometimes I think about the word disability. uh, um, well, it's like something that is out the normality. What all things are that are different from the normality, from the reality that the patriarchy, maybe capitalism have decided for us. And I found very touching and very strong the image of the Vitruvian man destroyed on your performance. Maybe it could be a suggestion for us, maybe destroying our inner Vitruvian man and also external Vitruvian man, so judgmental, so full of boundaries, full of limits. I would like to ask only a little question about your aim as an artist. If you have an aim, if you have an hope to change, or maybe your performances are created also only for show, for speak up your condition, your beliefs, or you have an aim to uh, well to change something in society, if your performance are social and also political. I don't know if I explain myself well. I'm sorry for my English, but yes, the question is if you have a political aim for your works, if you have some points about it.
Yes, I believe yes. As I work with this in this sphere of life and art, and since I was already more into politics, not really politics, this government, this idea, but the idea of social justice before in my works, but it was in group and also talking about this gap between people, black people, white people, or poor people, all these kind of things in society. But after I became a person with disability, it was all together because I was seeing things around myself, and seeing that this cannot be like that. I want to collaborate to change something. But also, I don't split from the idea of collaborating in artistic, aesthetic, artistical art aesthetic. It's all together. Because also, for instance, we are working a lot here in Brazil about cultural accessibility that has to do with audio description, sign language, audio description, for instance, as you saw in Seliberation, it's part of the aesthetic. It's not only the tool for people who is blind can see, but also has to do with it's an aesthetic experience as well. So when we do this, we are also creating something that has to do with aesthetic, but also ethic. We are talking about ethic, a new ethic. For instance, like in the Brazil Photo UK, it was a non-disabled people place, totally. And they were screaming on YouTube. So over there, they had the window of sign language. But as I'm using it, I was really missing. They had 4 screens in the room. I was missing to have the sign language. Even I'm still don't speak sign language. I don't signalize. I know few things, but it's a it's a aesthetic that changed the ethic, because even that you don't have any deaf people there, but still should be there, the sign language.
Yeah.
Because one day this deaf person will arrive and it's all already there for them,
Yeah.
So what I see that people don't the normality, when I say people, that the normality people, these normal people, they don't see the bridge between aesthetic and ethic and social justice and also politics. For instance, in the Brazil Forum UK, we were like aliens in this world, because it's all government people and all suit people, tired people, And it was me, Capenga, and then the transgender, masculine male transgender, and a female transgender black as well. So another intersectionality. We were like a alien there. And also, when all the panelists was great, it was a really good experience, really interesting and really important. But for instance, the panel like about education don't even mention disabled people. And we have a lot of problem for disabled people to study. The abortion panel, that from RAPT here in Brazil, I don't know if you know something, but we were having the risk that to condemn the person who was raped and get pregnant, and if the doesn't have the abortion after 22 weeks, if you do the abortion after 22 weeks, you can be in a prison. It's crazy, these right wings radical. And for instance, they don't talk about disabled women or person who can get pregnant. And we are the most affected. Disabled people, and if it's a disabled person and also black disabled person, who is it's in the focus of the violence, the sexual violence, to be abused. They don't even mention. So we are not even being mentioned. Still, I feel amazed, not in a good way, amazed. It's horrible how they don't see the disability in life. That's why I think for me, Corpo Intruso has to do also with this disruptive idea that I don't accept this, so I will force you to understand that I exist, we are here. And our reality must interfere in this space. So I don't accept that I'm not part of society. This is a narrative. That's why if I believe in this narrative, I will be ashamed about myself and what they want. Because then I can be always the handicap. A little say about the handicap, this idea of handicap, asking for all the time. And this humanity as well. We are not human. So I like to use, to work with the idea of not being a human to talk about humanity.
Yes, clear. And also I found on Google, Googled you, the definition, your description, you're defined as a artist, performer, and also terrorista poetica. It's like another title of you.
Yeah, it's recently that I'm added this because I realized, okay, I need to affirm myself as well as a poetic terrorist, you know, because it's the way how I think, because I don't want to make something that cool, great, let's eat a pizza.
Yeah,
I want to really to collaborate with something.
insisting
Because it's
insisting.
yeah, it's a existing, exactly, and producing knowledge not only in art but also in other areas like sociology, philosophy, anthropology, political science. And also, one thing that from the Seliberation, these the risk that I do isn't the red and the black. So they are symbols from orishas. So the first one, the black one, is the Omolu Orisha, Atotobaluae. That it's the Orisha from the sickness. So the Omolu Atotobaluae is the end and the beginning. And it's related to disabled body as well. And the tridents are belongs to Eshu. That is the Orisha Eshu that opened the way, opening paths. So also I take something that really from a symbol really from Brazil, that is the no civilized people we are the third world country, blah, 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 that the colonizer loves to talk about. So I'm taking this European symbol, classic symbol, and transforming in something else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you, Estela. So we don't have a lot of time left. So thank you for this today. And the only other thing we wanted to do was flag up the ADDN Jomba Festival that's coming up in August. Soon, very, very exciting. Leanne, do you want to just say something about that? And of course, we will circulate more information and program and so.
So yes, just kind of to share, but we will share it through the network, is that we are holding, I kind of don't know how to label it. We called it a festival, but it's also really a kind of like colloquium where we are gathering incredible artists who are working in disability arts and who are pushing agendas, much like you are, Estela, and sharing a space to share some performances, but to share some workshops, to share some digital art, and kind of also just, I think in a way, grow practice and grow practice within a community who are already committed to pushing agendas and ideas and thoughts. I think it's going to be a really wonderful moment of excitement. There is one digital online workshop that is being held by Petra Capers, which anyone can join on the network. But if anyone is in South Africa at that time, it would be lovely to have you. I know that Gladys is coming, so we'll see her there. But it is a beautiful moment, and we particularly are, obviously because it's our agenda, but we're particularly pushing practice in Africa, where there are lots of, still, I'm interested to hear about the cultural stuff, but there's lots of cultural politics that is very, very difficult around disability. I mean, we can have the highbrow discussions around, I love that gesture, inclusion, like come to me, but the reality is that there are contexts, in certain countries where literally people with disabilities are put in cages. So it's also, there is there's a whole range of politics and ideas But you know, because our medium is dance and our medium is live performance, the idea of using this as this extraordinary vehicle to push a social, political, and cultural agenda, and to do it in a way that is also, which I loved about your work, Estela, is also joyful. You know, it's also like
Yes,
the
yes, having fun,
triumph of,
please.
yeah, and beautiful, you know, the kind of idea of reconceptualizing, which I loved your kind of idea of rethinking notions of what is beautiful, and that and flipping the notion. So this is what we're trying to do, and I think it's going to be a beautiful meeting of some extraordinary people. So we'll keep the information,
Yes,
sharing the
please.
information. Yeah.
Nice.
And we're hoping to film some of the parts, and you know, to have kind of a little summation so that if people can't be there, they can see some of the stuff and get a sense of what's been going on and who the people are. So because the network has been really rich and lots of sharing, you know, and thank you for people that have come today, but also people that couldn't and will join. Poor Ondiego's come in and out at least 10 times. His internet, he's in Kenya, and his internet obviously has not been cooperating today. So he's literally logged in at least 8 to 10 times. So there's also, you know, the inequalities of access are included in having electricity and having Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
but,
I know. I
but
think I know Ondiege. I think I know Ondiege.
Oh, fantastic. So
Yeah,
thank you
because
very much.
we worked
Sorry?
with Gerda Kunig in Germany. I met him in 2006, I think.
He was clearly very wanting to join and say hello and speak. So I just want to note that.
Yeah,
and
of
I'm very
course.
sorry that he didn't get to do that today, but maybe another day. So if anybody doesn't have any last minute comments, I'm just going to say thank you very much, and have a good evening or day, because I'm very aware that Estela's kind of only halfway through her day and we kind of going toward the end of ours. But thank you for joining us, particularly when you only arrived home from traveling at 5 a.m. this morning. So thank you very much. And
it was such a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Nice
I
to
would
see you,
love,
Daniela.
I just would like to share with you the link of my first short film that it's available in my channel, and it's in English audio description, so can be interesting. I'm putting here in the chat.
beautiful, because then I can also circulate that to others as well.
Yeah, of
So
course.
thank you very, very much. And in the
Thank
chat,
you
I
so
put a
much.
little poster for the festival as well. So thank you.
Yeah, I downloaded.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Thank
See
you.
you.